Welcome everybody to See I Am Me. I am your host, Rashawn, and we're here for another episode. Have you ever thought about where you come from and things might not have been working out for you, but you got a dream? Have you ever built yourself from nothing? Well, today we got our boy Alexis coming on, and he's going to run through some things in his life and hopefully give you some perspective. Alexis, come on in.
Hey, how we doing today?
Oh man, I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to have you on. So I'm gonna give everybody a quick background of how we met. On Taco Tuesday, I typically we go into the taqueria and we ran across him one day and we were just having some conversation. And I was like, "Hey man, what do you do?" He was like, "Man, I sing." And I was like, "Oh, you got it like that?" I said, "Well, you got an Instagram? Let me see what you got." So he sent me his Instagram, and then I was like, "Oh, you sing. Like you like a legit singer, not like a shower singer." And then we hooked up. I like, come on the show, man. We need to tell people about your story and introduce people to who you are. So introduce yourself to the team.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Alexis Farias. I go by Farias Leon on all social media platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, anything that you listen to. Hopefully, I'm right there on the platforms. And I work in the restaurant part time on a family business. And I do singing on the other side of my time, my other life, as I like to say. And we're out here with my boy Rashawn, getting it going, get the groove on.
Oh yeah, get the groove on, man. Hey, give us a quick note, real quick. Let me hear what you got.
Me arrepiento de no decirte que te amo, que mi orgullo me ha ganado una vez más. That's a song that I have that I wrote back when I was in a toxic relationship. I got a little happy juice and I got into my writing mode and just started writing.
Oh man, that's awesome. See, that's when you know you got the real singers because they go on demand. You're like, give me some, boom, there you go, right? So who is Farias Leon, man? For everybody who's watching, and what did your vision what was your vision to help shape your success?
Farias Leon, it comes way back when, 5 years old, kindergarten, just getting to know who I was. And music just came to me at a very young age. I didn't really know where I was taking this to. But, growing up, I always knew that I always wanted to do something with music. And I ended up having an opportunity in California. I was in a TV show for
Oh,
a Spanish channel called Tengo Talento, Mucho Talento, and it pretty much kicked off. I got to connect with a lot of good people. I did my first couple songs there. I wrote a song, the one I was just singing a little bit of, and I recorded that. And Farias Leon is I'm carrying my last names because family for me is a big part of my life. I love my family and I always want to carry my name for my family because they've inspired me, supported me, and helped me be where I'm at right now. And I look up to them a lot as well, hopefully they look up to me for being the black sheep of the family. You know, my family always stuck to restaurants since they migrated to the U.S. And for me, and for them, is something new. And just hoping that hopefully one of these days all these sacrifices take off.
no, man, I think you're well on your way, man. I'm telling you, after listening to your music on Instagram, I went and told my homeboys, I said, man, I met this dude, man. This dude can sing, man. So when I'm thinking about you, man, what was your childhood you say about who you became today?
My childhood, my family, they're very very close. As I said
Mm,
earlier, we stick together on the best and worst times. They're very very traditional. We always do everything together. They love to race horses. They like to
mhm.
ride. They're very hardworking people, and that's why I look up to them as well. Their work ethic, their plan, their mindset. whatever they want to do, they execute. They find the way, they execute, and it ends up working out for them. And hopefully, I can do a little bit of what they do, to help me out in my career.
Yeah, man. I think success is on its way, and it's great to have family because not everybody I talk to have a good family atmosphere. Most people are like trying to get it out the mud, whatever's happening. And
Yeah.
but I think personally, having that background and those people that can support you. I know you mentioned earlier, you're like, man, I'm the black sheep, man. I'm not doing this restaurant stuff. I'm out here singing, but they recognize that you got your thing and you've been given a gift and you're using it. So what part of your upbringing, man, has fueled your hunger and make you just really want to get out there? Like, is there a specific part where you were like, you know what, this is it, I'm about to make it happen?
Well, when I got off that TV show, I connected with some people, and we were trying to do like a group so we can help each other out and grow within the music industry. Ended up getting backstabbed, and at first I didn't know what to do because I went back to zero, and just here and there, just trying to get up, and then they bring you down, and I'm like, you know what, man, I'm gonna keep doing this for me. I'm not gonna look out for anybody else. And if there's someone that's really genuinely there to help you, they're gonna stick with you, and you're gonna feel that energy. You can see that, and more than anything, my mom, yeah, she's helped me out a lot. She's been there in all situations, and I want to bring her up there with me, and show her that everything that we've done really took off. I want to take care of my mom one day, and have her, say, you know what, you did do it for a reason, and something came out of this. Because
Yeah,
this music stuff, it's really hard sometimes, man.
yeah,
There's always someone trying to take advantage, but it's, if anything, it's made me wiser, and it's made me want to be in the game more, because I want to show them that I'm made out of something different. I'm built different. You know, that's
yeah.
really what's keeping me going.
Yeah, I like that. The power of you when you say, "Hey, man, I gotta do this myself." Because you know what, I tell people sometimes. I tell people this story about me, right? And I'm like, "Hey, you know what? Things weren't always going right. There's people that I thought I was going to be able to depend on to lift me up, but then it didn't work out like that. So, like you said, I too had to start over from zero. And then I had this epiphany one day. I was like, Ray, if you're going to get this thing done, you're going to have to do it yourself. And it sounds selfish, but I had to depend on me. You know what I mean? And I think you and I are somewhat similar because my mom been sticking by me every little cockamamie idea that I've developed. She's always believed in it and she wanted it to work, but I just never stopped because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna get to where I need to be, and and I admire that in you, man. I admire that you got a goal, you got a passion, and you're running toward it because not many people even develop or discover what their passions are. Now that I'm thinking about that, like just think about the concept of who you are and your culture. You know, do sometimes who you are and the cultural experiences that you go through every day, do those stereotypes kind of get at you sometimes, or do you think they try to define you?
In a way, I'm an only child, and like I said, I stuck with my parents in the restaurants, and at first, I was told that I just need to stick to what's already there, what's secure, and just develop it. But I mean, I like working in the restaurant, and I like the business and all, but I like music more, and the passion for that is just different than just being there at the restaurant. And you know it's to a point where I do understand what they're saying, because it's very you gotta sacrifice a lot. You gotta invest. You gotta talk to people. You have to do so much, And like I said, there's people that like to take advantage in this industry,
Hmm.
and so it's not really you don't really get back what you give. But then I thought
Mm.
to myself, it's the same thing with a restaurant. You know, you can put your efforts, you can put your sweat, tears,
Mm.
blood, and you still don't know if you're gonna get back what you get. So I don't really mind what people say. You know, I just put into thought that they went through the same thing, but they don't see that in me for what I'm trying to do. So I just let them talk and take their advice and just keep going from that. Really,
Yeah, bet. So, working hard, keep things going the appropriate way, staying grounded in yourself, and I guess that comes with you just trying to be your authentic self, which is kind of like keeping it real, like, right? So, this world is, full of filters, full of facades. A lot of people are trying to pretend to be things that they aren't really. So, what does being real actually look like for you?
just being authentic, man. Don't try and be like nobody else, and
Mm.
it's not really a bad thing, but you just gotta keep it real to yourself. Feel comfortable with yourself. Once you feel comfortable with yourself, you show your true roots. It's like they say, you can give anybody money, and their true selves is gonna come out. If they're really humble, they're gonna be humble regardless, with or without money. It's the same thing with your personality. If you're comfortable with yourself and you know who you are, you have no problems expressing yourself with the people because it's you. And being true to yourself, just honestly brings attention, because if you try to be like everybody else, you're just another person in the group.
Yeah, that's one of the themes that I have for the network is to see yourself and to be yourself, right? Because you got to first really understand who you are as an individual to fully realize the power that you have. I talked a little bit earlier about like the universe. You hear me say that a lot. The universe said when you came into it, I got something planned for you. I got something that's going to be big for you. And in order for you to get to that particular point, you're going to have to work your ass off. You're gonna have to push forward. You're gonna have to push hard. And because wins don't come easy, man. And it might be kind of odd because being real, I think being real is easy. I honestly do. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna talk the way I want to talk because I'm confident and competent in who I am. But that's not something that everyone can obtain because, like you just mentioned, most people want to be part of the crowd. They think that's where the win is being like everybody else. But the win really is kind of just really being yourself. Have you ever had any point where like just doubt just got too loud for you, man, and you start thinking like the voice inside your head is like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna make it doing this.
Fear has always been in my mind. It's something that I feel like it's never gonna leave you. But instead of being something that brings you down, it should be something that gives you a reason to keep doing it. Because fear is a blade of it's a sort of two blades. You know, but if you keep listening to that fear, you're never gonna accomplish anything. Because
Mm.
you're not gonna want to do anything like risks. You don't want to keep going. You don't want to try new ideas. But failure is always going to be on the table, but you're not going to know if you fail until you try. And if you
Mm.
fail, you tried it, man. Nobody's going to take that off of you. Nobody's going to
Yeah,
take that from you. Because a lot of people talk, but not a lot of people try.
yeah, yeah. I like that too because I had to tell my son, he's going to be 24 actually this weekend, and I told him, I said, if you're going to make a decision, you got to make a decision based off of who you really are. I said because if you make a decision based off of what you think everybody else wants you to make, and it doesn't work out, you're going to regret it, and you're really not going to know who you are. But if you make your own decision and you travel your own path and you fail, you're gonna be all right. Because now all you have to do is say, you know what? I chose the wrong path. I need to do something else. And I can't let the fear of failure get me. I was watching some Will Smith movie and they had an acronym for the word fear, and it was false evidence appearing real. Like, because it hasn't happened yet, but we're afraid of like what could possibly happen. So sometimes we don't really push ourselves. You know, what is a truth about your journey that most people wouldn't believe?
A lot of man. Where can I start? You know, I've presented myself in a lot of places and encountered a lot of celebrities. And some people don't believe this, but sometimes meeting your heroes can just really affect you because they're not the person that you think they are.
Mm,
And
mm.
sometimes it makes you doubt yourself, who you truly are. But in reality, you just gotta stick to yourself and know. And once you know who you are, nothing's gonna bring you down. That's when I started learning that I should just keep myself, and just respect everybody else in the atmosphere, because you never know who you really get to know until you meet them. So it's just another note in my book that I keep to always keep myself, in an authentic way possible, to where I don't be that person.
Yeah, man. I tell you, like I'm a hooper. Well, I used to be before I got old, right? I was I was in Las Vegas playing this basketball tournament one time, and I saw Patrick Ewing, and I was like a little kid in high school, so I went up to him to get his autograph because I really liked that guy. That dude told me to get out of his face. So I was like, what the, because I really love watching that guy, man, and he basically was like, yeah, man, I don't sign autographs in the off season or something like that. Man, that thing hurt me so bad. So like when you say, hey, you run into your idols and they know who you thought they were. It made me change my view of the world because watching him on TV, I just like, oh man, it'll be so awesome to meet him. And then one day I had that opportunity and it didn't go that way. So I'm assuming that you met somebody and who you thought they were, they just didn't turn out to be that. And but for you, that's why it's important to be who you are. So when people hear you and people see you and they come to you, that probably takes a lot of courage too. And if you reciprocate, like, yeah, thank you for being part of my fan club or the team, that got to feel good for them. So I'm interested, and you told me when we were talking at the restaurant that you go to Dallas, you go to all these different places, and you getting your sing on, man. So what does your daily grind actually look like behind the scenes?
And behind the scenes, my day starts as soon as I wake up, man. I take care of my animals. I have cows, I have horses, so I gotta feed them, make sure that everything's good, their waters is clean. I go to the restaurant, make sure everything's good, running well. If I have to work, I get myself to work. I try to go to the gym every once in a while, and if I have time, I practice my vocals. I try to connect with 3 to 5 people a day at least to do collabs, to see if they're down to write a song or to record anything on the studio. And from there, I just go home. I study a little bit. It doesn't matter what it is, but I like to study finances and economy. But after that, just go to sleep, wake up early in the morning, do the same thing. It's an ongoing thing. It's you got to look for the opportunities. The opportunities aren't handed to you, most of the time.
Yeah, man. It seems like you're out there hustling. So since you're out there hustling like that, your day is not like the normal person's day, right? So when you think about everything you're doing, so are you building like a career, or are you building a legacy, or like what's the difference? Are you building both?
I want to build a legacy. A legacy stays here forever, and I want to
Mhm.
put my family's name, out there. Let them know who Farias Leon is, and let them know who they are, where they came from, and just the type of the people that are Farias Leon. I feel like I have a family that have supported many people, and they don't get enough credit for it. And I want to be the stone of you know,
Mhm.
for them to like,
Mhm.
man, this person comes from an awesome family. He's a good guy. I want to be that guy and give that satisfaction to my family as well.
Yeah, that's super awesome. So as you start to head, to the next level, because there's levels to this thing. You first started, you was here. Second, you say, all right, you know what? I'm in the concert business. I'm in there singing now. People are looking for me. You here? What are you going to have to overcome in your mind to get to the next level? Because now it's time to get on the big stage, my guy. It's time to get up there so I can say, hey, I know that guy. What do you got to do to get there?
Just keep it hustling. Keep it hustling. Keep looking for those opportunities. Keep working, regardless if you feel like you're moving on to the next level. It's about consistency. Consistency is always gonna help you build up, regardless if someone else's eyes you're not up there. But everything's there for a reason. Everything
Hmm.
is an example of life. Every day you get an experience, and it's your choice to take notes of what you learned, or what you want to learn, and keep going from there. You gotta work it, man.
Yeah,
Everything's a grind. You gotta feel like you're in Wall Street, man. You gotta be out there getting that money.
yeah. Wall Street, man. That's gonna be my next Instagram post. You got to feel like you in Wall Street. So, like, what story are you telling through your music, man? What does the world need to hear from you right now?
Regional Mexican music, it's like any type of music, really. You're saying a story, and there's moments where you fall in love, moments that you have a toxic relationship you get out of, or a story that you hear from an uncle, a grandpa, and you just vision it. You see a movie out of it, and you just want to make that movie into a song and bring it to life. And for me, that's what it is right now. The story that I'm telling, I'm sorry, that I was in a toxic relationship. I was in love, and sometimes you start drinking that happy juice, and you just get into it, man. It brings back memories. You're like, hey, I miss her, but at the same time, you don't miss her. Yeah. And for me, that's where I'm at right now. I just released an album called Saint Valentine's Without You, San Valentin Sin Ti, and I have
Hmm.
a little mix of everything. Like, you left me. Yeah, it's like you're hurt, and then it's another song that, I miss you, I love you. And that's how it was. So that's why I wanted to make that album like that, a little toxic, because that's how my story was at a time. And you know uh it made me feel that music made me feel the way I felt back in the day, and I feel like I needed
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You let those emotions flow. 'Cause I guess that goes to So do you look at your music like it's like I know you said a little bit of storytelling, but do we get a little therapy out of that, or a little bit of rebellion out of that? What are we getting all three out of that?
All three, man.
Hey,
Oh,
man, I'm gonna tell you. I tell you this. Like I know the feeling. I know the feeling, man. You know how you find a song and that song is just touching your heart, man, and you put that boy on replay and you banging that thing in the car, you banging that thing in the gym, you banging that thing at the house, because I think that's what music does, man. Music like touches the soul, and like you said, it brings those feelings back. Even though, like, hopefully you get up out of that toxic thing, but that toxic thing still mean a lot to you, though. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you stuck in there, and that music is your way not to only deal with it, but the music is your way to say, hey, you know what? I can overcome this too. So that's funny that you say that, but it's the truth because I can feel you all the way. So with all this going on, when you step on stage, what are you feeling? Like when you put your feet on that stage and you got that mic in your hand, what type of feeling? Because I don't know that feeling, right? So what does it look like? Because I'm a speaker, so I can get out there and speak, but I'm just in my zone. But if I was like you, if I had a gift like you, I don't know how I would use it. I don't know if I would use it for good or evil, man. Because well, how do you use it? What do you feel?
Oh man, well I feel like speaking and singing, it's the same gift. Not
Mm,
everybody has the courage to do that, and the feeling. I don't want to say nerve because you're not nervous. You just feel the adrenaline and the attention of the people.
hmm
And for me, the last thing I want to do is give someone a bad show, a bad time.
yeah,
So I like to read my audience, see what kind of vibe they're on, and go from there. Give them a show, give them the night of their life. Have them, make it worth it for them. Just go home and just say they had a good night. I want to give them that impression, that satisfaction. Cause man, the places I go sing sometimes, people probably show up. They had a long day, they had problems at home
yeah,
or anything, or life stuff. For me, I guess what comes in my mind is how can I make their night.
yeah.
So whenever I do go up there, I like to not even make a fool. I just like to be around the people. Like hey, where's the bottle at? Shots or salud or just have a good time.
Yeah,
That's what comes to my mind. How can I make this person's night?
yeah. That's awesome, man. Because that's when I go places and I want to listen to people, no matter what they're singing or it's a comedian. I just want to get away from the grind of the world, man. I just want to be somewhere and hopefully I can enjoy somebody's talent and it could just for like a couple hours in my life, man, it could just move me to a place where I can say, hey, you know what, my life ain't all that bad, and I know that's what music does. I think that's why I'm so enamored by like listening to music that like it can my head is running sometimes, but that music can help me escape. Um, So when do you ever feel pressure and are you able to turn it into like power? Like how sometimes things are just going and you're like, man, it's on my this thing is on my back, but let me use it as a weapon for good.
I think the biggest weapon someone can have is their mind, because the
Mm,
power of the mind controls everything, especially your surroundings. So I just, if I don't get the what I expect from people, I just keep it in my head. Just give it all you got. Sometimes you get a an audience that isn't there, like, oh, like, hey, shot or whatever. But I've also played in a lot of places that they've been pretty serious, and once we're done packing up, I'm like, man, I did horrible. I got no feedback, and I did something that I gotta check back. And when it comes to getting paid or whatnot, they're like, man, you played great, man. You did awesome. And I'm just thinking, like, man, I didn't get that feedback. You didn't gotta lie to me, man. Just tell me how you really felt, bro. Like, you're not gonna break my heart. You're just gonna help me fix something that I don't have yet. But no, just keep it straight. I just stick to my mind. Give it my best. Be you. Do your thing, because the talent's already there. You just gotta
yeah.
know how to expose it.
Mhm.
Sometimes not everything's gonna be how you plan it, but if you keep your mind to it, everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah, I like what you just said. The talent is already there. You just got to use it right. You know what I mean? Like yeah, that's I think that's pretty powerful. It's already present within inside of you. Like I honestly believe that we sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. Like you just said, like hey, I didn't get that feedback. I don't think I did well, and then someone is like, hey, you were awesome today. Like you really made my day. I feel good after listening to you. But I think sometimes we're super hard on ourselves and we're unwilling to give ourselves those congratulations and pat ourselves on the back, and which that's okay. It's okay for us to pat ourselves on the back because no world class champion walked around beating themselves up every day. the world class champion believes in themselves, right? Those stars believe that, like you said earlier, I can go out there and I can change somebody's day today with just the gift that I was given. As simple as that. The thing that's on the inside, you're able to go out there and change it, but we got to really believe in that. So I know you disciplined in what you do, and every day as you're getting after it, because you mentioned earlier, like, hey, my day looks like this, but it's what I gotta do. Do you ever lose motivation? Does it ever like start to go away a little bit, and you're like, man, I'm just not feeling it today?
Yeah, there's a lot of times where I do have that feeling, but if you don't chase that bag, you're never gonna get it. And
Yeah.
that's something that I tell myself all the time. It's always hard getting off from bed because bed is so comfortable, man. You just want to lay in bed and you just want to watch Netflix, or it's comfortable. But this life is not about comfort. It's about go getting it. If this life was full of comfort, nothing will be built, because everything that's there today is because people went out there and got it and made it come true, made it happen. And in order to get your vision to be reality, you have to get it regardless of how you feel.
Mm, yeah. I heard something from Rick Ross one time. He said, "We ain't leaving no money on the table. We're gonna go get it all, right? Because if that's what you want, you're gonna go out there and get it. If you halfway want it, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna sleep in today and tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'll figure it out. Any concerts out there? I'm not gonna play at that one, man. I'm tired. Because when you really want something, motivation is temporary, man. The discipline is where it's at, and that's why very few people succeed. That's why very few people can even get up on the stage or get out in front of others, because it just ain't in them like that. All those other things gonna tear down. I'm pretty sure somebody out there say, you know what, I'm just gonna do this restaurant thing. It's already set up for me. I'm gonna be all right here, right? But when you say, hey, I got this restaurant thing, I'm gonna help the family, but I'm about to go get mine too, because I want to be known for who I am. I want the legacy that you spoke about earlier. That legacy is mine. It ain't my mama's. It ain't my dad. It ain't nobody else. They're gonna say my name when it's all said and done. When you get on stage, they're gonna be like, "That's him." Or you, when I share your LinkedIn, I mean your Instagram post after this today, they're gonna be like, "That's him." And so that's what we want out of all of this. So, and we talked about the pressure, that pressure, you turn it into power right now. Like, for you, um, you talked about how you felt when you was in a toxic relationship, and I mean, I'm pretty sure you probably still felt kind of stuck in that environment. For somebody else, like, from your perspective, when somebody feels stuck, what advice do you got for them?
You got to see what's holding you back, and you have to acknowledge it. And sometimes the person or the object holding you back is what you care about the most. But sometimes,
Mm,
for the sake of yourself, you have to learn how to let it go, and you're gonna go on from there, because it's really hard. Feeling stuck is really hard because you don't know what the problem is, but there's a problem. But when you
yeah.
figure it out, best believe that the best thing to do is let it go or just keep moving on, because you don't want to be there all your life, man. Like, Steve Harvey said, if you're living in hell, why are you staying there?
Mm,
Why stay in hell? You got to keep on going.
yeah. I heard Steve Harvey also one time say, you survive 100% of your worst days. You know what I mean? When things aren't going good and you feel like beating yourself up and you feel like you just can't make it and you go to sleep with all these negative things on your mind, then you wake up the next day, another opportunity, you right back at it, right? If you really want it, because either you're gonna get after it or you're gonna let the world beat you up for another 24 hours. Because one of the two gonna happen. You're gonna either go get it or try to get it, or you're gonna let the world just punch you out. And then you're gonna be like, oh man, it happened to me again today. And the next 24, until you realize, like, hey, I'm gonna have to do this. But my question for you, is just kind of going through that. So how do you stay grounded, while aiming so high?
Know where you come from and know where you want to be, but never forget where you come from. You know your roots. That's who made you. You know the necessity. That's what made you do it. You know some people. They get where they want to be and they just automatically forget where they came from. They
Yeah,
forget that they ones that actually truly supported them and just surround themselves against. They surround themselves with people that never knew who they were before they were what they got. You can't forget that, man. I think that's the biggest thing that some people make mistake on.
mhm,
Forgetting where you came from, forgetting your true people, forget who really supported you, who saw your vision, who want to help you get your dreams. Because you can't forget those people, man. Those are family. I believe those are people that you need to take care of and actually keep closer, because it's hard to find genuine people that support you, care for you, or just call you, man. Just call you day by day, even if you don't call them back in a couple months, they still think about you.
yeah,
And for me, that's what it is. You can't forget where you come from or the people that support you from day one.
yeah. I heard this. I got all these quotes because I just be listening to folks, right? And then, what do you think about the people, like you may have started off with them, but as you started to rise, they didn't get their stuff together, and you just kept rising. And then, but you look back and they were down there, but you can't go back down there because that's where you came from. You're trying to keep it going. So I'm gonna tell you this story that I heard on YouTube from Snoop Dogg, and then I want to get your perspective on it. Snoop Dogg said that when you're thinking about growth, he said all of y'all start. Everyone starts here. You're all together. This is you. This is your friends. You're all here. And then as you start to grow, they not moving, but you all now you up here, like you winning, right? You got all these things going, but you look back because they're your friends. But the only way for you to get back with them is if they come up or if you bring yourself back down. And since you're a winner and you don't want to be back there where you initially started, how do you feel about those people who are unwilling to pull themselves up to where you at because they can do it too?
For me, is that if someone doesn't have enough courage to help themselves, or ask for help, and if you have the tools to help them out, and they still don't want to or don't see that way, you know, you can always love somebody, but from a distance.
Mm,
Everybody has an option to their own grind. Everybody has the option to be where they want to be, but that's only if they want to get it. Like, I understand what he says, and I fully agree with that. You can't bring yourself down when you already, on the top. You already won on your battle, or where you want to be. But if someone else doesn't have the courage or the grind to help themselves out, even if you hand them out, you know, at least a hand so they can bump up a little bit, you can't do nothing for them, man.
mm.
It's like the saying, nobody can love you if you don't love yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Self love is the best love because that's the love that's on the inside. Like that external love that most of us seek. Is typically that thing that tears us up. You know what I mean? Because we want it so bad, but that love is dependent on how other people feel about you, and self love is not easy either, right? Because I think sometimes I was listening to a friend one time talking about they thought they did this really cool post on Instagram, right? And but nobody wasn't liking it, and they was like, "Man, I'm about to take that post down." And I'm like, "Why?" They was like, "Cause ain't nobody liking it," and I'm like, "But that doesn't mean people ain't seeing it." You know what I'm saying? You need to see a little heart light up for you to feel validated, and that's where your problem is at because you associating that little heart, which is external and based off of other people, but you're not seeing those folks who see it and say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna listen to this thing. I'm gonna hear what he got to say. And maybe they just clipping through things anyway, and but they haven't forgot about you. Maybe, like I had these shirts, right? I wore the shirt. I mean, I wasn't really looking to sell the shirts, but I just had my little motivational shirt on. And then I walked around. Nobody really said nothing about the shirt. Then one day somebody was like, hey, man, I've been looking for that shirt, man. I'm trying to get 20 of them. And I was like, this shirt right here? I mean, but no one liked it when I or wrote underneath anything, but they saw what I had. And I equate that to you. I think you're just out there, you grinding like crazy. Your voice is amazing. People are hearing you, and it's just a matter of time before somebody's like, you know what, how do I do that? And they reach out to you and say, hey, how do I keep this thing going? Or how do I get put on like you did so I can try to execute my talent? So we're getting ready to like close this thing out. But what I want to do is I want to get a mic to you real quick. And if you wanted anybody to know anything from this show, if they were to gather anything from listening to us and hearing your story today, what do you think that would be?
Be authentic, be yourself, never be scared to fail, and don't think that what people tell you is gonna, you know, make your plans fail. Don't think about that. Always keep it straight to yourself. Know where you want to be. Trust yourself. Trust God. Trust the process. The process can be tough, but what doesn't kill you, man, makes you. So you just gotta keep it on, keep being you, and never lose track of yourself, man. Always keep it forward. Stay motivated. Keep the consistency, and just make everything happen.
So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, if somebody wanted to book you, if somebody wanted to come look at your social media, put that out there forward so they can hear it from you.
All right, my Instagram is Farias Farias dot Leon Leon. That's my Facebook, my Instagram. My phone number is 254-423-2741. And we do parties, baptisms, marriages, divorces. We'll even go to the courthouse and we'll play out there for you. We do it all. We do it all, man.
When is the next place you're playing, or where do you play at the most? Because when people see this, some time will probably pass. But where are you usually at?
Dallas, Texas, Mesquite area, Fort Worth, Arlington, Temple, Texas. We're gonna have our next presentation there, June 22nd. We're gonna play with El Fantasma. For those who don't know, he's one of my top dogs up in that list. So I'm very excited for this opportunity. I hope to see everybody there.
Hey, and can you give us one more sound check before we get out of here?
Me arrepiento de no decirte que te amo, que mi orgullo me ha ganado una vez más, que las noches en la cama fueron todo y que solo los recuerdos quedarán. Te pido perdón, pero no me llames por favor.
All right, thank you, brother. Hey, Alexis, thank you for being on the show today. Hey, I'm gonna catch up with you in a little bit after this.
All right.
Hey, everyone, this is SeeIAmMe. I'm your host, Rashawn, and we'll catch up with y'all later.